could have given up, but you didn't. You could have stopped believing, but you didn't. You could have kept living their expectations, but you decided to make this life your own. And in turn, you're here. Hello, everyone. Today we're meeting Jem Fuller. He is an author of the book, The Art of Conscious Communication for a Thoughtful Man. Also, he's a retreat leader and a coach. Thank you for joining us today, Jim. Nice to meet you.
Thank you so much for having me on your show, Anna. It's lovely to be here.
Thank you. Let's start our conversation with your story of becoming the person you are today. If you can just let us know, like, what led you to the point of discovering your true passion in life, true purpose, that you knew that this is what you wanted to do, and that's where you were gonna go with, having your own company and having your own book released. So if you can just show us the path that you came here.
Yeah, absolutely. It's interesting when I look at what I do now and how I've found a way to do something, to be engaged in something that I'm passionate about, trying to make a difference, a positive difference in the lives of others, in something that I'm passionate about, utilizing my unique skills and talents that I was born with, but also have developed over the years. It's interesting because all the other chapters of my life prior to this chapter now make sense. Yeah. It's like, oh, that's why I lived that chapter, and that's why I lived that chapter, and they all kind of weave together now. So I'm 51 years old now, and when I was in my early 40s, I had some people call it a midlife crisis. I call it a midlife awakening, a midlife opportunity. And prior to that, I was the chapter before that, I was working in a career in a suit and tie, working for a multinational. But that's really a very strange chapter for me, because my life growing up as a kid and then as a teenager and a young adult, I was very alternative. I really wanted to rebel against the system. In fact, for a while as a young adult in my 20s, I identified as someone who was anti-establishment. I was a punk, and I was living in squats in London, and I was barefoot backpacking around Asia, and I spent many years traveling. I also spent a chapter as an actor, a singer-songwriter. And then when I was traveling around the world, I worked so many different jobs around the world just to earn money and keep traveling. So I was a kindergarten teacher in Taiwan. I was a fire dancer. I was a tattooist around the world. I was a motorcycle courier in London. I've been a laborer. And I studied healing arts. So I studied reflexology and Chinese massage and Reiki and all of these wonderful healing arts. And for many years, I just followed my passion wherever that led me. So I had no real plan. I certainly didn't leave school and think, right, I'm going to get university qualified and I'm going to follow this career path. And I really didn't do that. In fact, I rebelled against that. I wanted to just follow my passion around the world. Anyway, so then when I got married and became a father, I thought, in my early 30s, I thought, wow, I've got to actually support these kids. I need to have some steady income to raise these children. So I got a job with a big international travel company because I'd been traveling around the world for a long time. And I had a successful 8 years with them, and I ended up in senior leadership, and I had bought into a large division of the company, that I was the leader of this large division. And there were some aspects of this corporate role that really weren't for me. This pressure every month to drive net profit growth. And there's so many corporate leaders that are just under this immense pressure to keep growing profit. And for me, that drove me away from my human values, my core values. And I started to become a person that I didn't like. And I was drinking way too much alcohol, and I was working very, very hard and traveling around the world and not spending enough quality time with my children or my wife. And that led to, but there were also some aspects of the role that I loved. So I loved the coaching element of leadership. I loved working with people and understanding individuals and helping them thrive. You know, I really enjoyed that part of it. And it was through that role that I was introduced to coaching and neuro-linguistic programming and human behavioral profiling and all the cool stuff that I love. And I had decided that I wanted to pursue that and start my own coaching practice. And then I had my midlife shake up and I lost my job, and my marriage had to end. I lost my house, had to sell the house, all of my belongings. I kept my 2 boys. I've got 2 boys and now 4 teenagers with my current partner. So I kept my boys 50-50, week on, week off. And that was the thing that really was the motivation for me to repair my relationship with myself, come back to being values aligned, and find a way to earn a living doing something that I felt I could maintain my integrity and be authentic and be proud of what I do and love what I do and add value into the lives of others. So over the last 9 years, I've been slowly building my coaching practice. And I'm very lucky to have created a very successful coaching practice. So that's great. My books are full. I'm at capacity. And then I wrote the book a year ago, which has been doing really well and winning awards. I've just been picked up in the United States. I've got representation there now. My partner and I run retreats around the world, and I've got online courses as well. So here at the age of 51, I look at my life and go, wow, I feel blessed. I'm very grateful, but it certainly hasn't been an overnight success. There's been lots of ups and downs and, lots of hard times as well to get here.
Yeah, but this is very interesting story, and a lot happened in the last decade. I've noticed that you said like a lot of pressure was building up to the point where you realized it's not me anymore, and you couldn't hold that job any longer. So you needed some kind of change in your life. And that was the natural way for you to kind of like look in another direction and find your authentic voice and the way to express it. And how was the book born? If you can just tell us what inspired you to write it and what's the main idea behind it?
Yeah. So I thought I started writing a few different books over the years. But the other books that I'm still currently writing, I wasn't ready to share them yet. But this book, I thought, what can I write about that I believe is really, really important, and what do people need at the moment? And communication, over the years of coaching, and I've coached thousands of people and many thousands of hours of coaching. And one of the common areas where people come unstuck is in communication. So whether it's a leader in a team and the leader's struggling to have the team engaged with the purpose or the mission, it's usually just coming unstuck in their inability to be able to communicate that effectively. Or in a relationship, say, take a romantic relationship, when 2 people love each other, they love each other, but they're missing each other in communication, and it's causing them suffering in the relationship. And it's quite often just because of the communication, So communication really underpins our ability to be effective in every aspect of our life, in our relationships, and our relationships are ultimately important because the research that's been done has shown that the quality of our life is directly correlated to the quality of our relationships. And our relationships, the quality of our relationships, depends on our ability to communicate with each other. So it's ultimately important. And also, even, Anna, just to manifest an idea into reality. So just to have an idea and to be able to turn that into something real depends on your ability to be able to communicate it. And then also looking at the world around us at the moment, it's crazy, this division that's happening, and, left and right, red and blue, pro-choice, pro-life, pro-vax, anti-vax, and these people who have different ideas, and they're just shouting at each other and canceling each other on social media. And it's frustrating for me because I love humanity, I really do. But wow, we are so dysfunctional sometimes, you know. So I'm looking at the world and thinking we really need to put some focus back onto how can we communicate more effectively, more consciously. So I started writing the book broadly, and then I engaged a book writing mentor here in Australia, and she said to me, Jem, I love the manuscript, it's great, but you need to pick an audience. You need to pick a target audience because it's too broad. And she suggested to me, she said, I think men really need this book right now. And I agreed with her. And I'm also very passionate about men's mental health. I've been sitting in a men's circle here in Australia for 12 years where we sit around a fire and we talk, we hold space for each other, and we listen to each other, and we talk about themes of what it is to be, quote unquote, a man, and the challenges that come with that. So I'm passionate about this as well. And so I thought, right, okay, well, I'm going to write it for men, and I did. However, I'm getting emails from women all around the world who are thanking me for writing the book. I had a lovely email from a woman just before Christmas, and she said, wow, thank you for your book. This helps me understand my husband, and it's actually going to help me mother my sons better, you know. So it's for everybody, but it's written through the lens of how can men improve their relationship with themselves, their connection to their emotional selves, and then how can they communicate how they feel more effectively.
Yeah, and I feel like if men would look more into mental health kind of aspect and how is it important, and not being afraid to speak up if something is bothering them, or ask for help, because especially for men, I feel like a lot of them are considered as a weakness. It's some kind of something that they're not talking about. Maybe it's coming from childhood. I'm not sure. Maybe the way they were raised, or it's just because they're supposed to be tough and strong. But I know it's more challenging for men to kind of be willing to work on themselves in that regards, or like seek some kind of help, or just to dedicate time to improve yourself. And that will translate in a relationship, professionally, personally, with the children, with the spouse, or even like at work. So everything will reflect in their physical world. But that first step, I think it's hard for them to take in a way. Would you agree?
Oh, completely. Yeah, I couldn't agree more with you, Anna. And yes, it's from childhood. And it's not necessarily even the parents' fault per se, because our parents' generation and the generation before them have been also raised in the patriarchy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So our cultural structure and systems are patriarchal. And females and males have to learn how to survive in a patriarchal structure. And the patriarchy is about dominance. It's about I need to beat you. I need to be better than you. I need to dominate you for me to survive and succeed.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that leads to a whole lot of problems.
Yeah.
You know, and so for our boys, our young boys, like you said, in the culture in the United States of America, in Australia, and in India, for example, which is also quite patriarchal, and many other countries around the world, we teach our boys that to be successful, to be a man, they have to toughen up, harden up, suck it up, man up. Parents tell their boys, don't cry like a girl. They still say that. You know, that's crazy, because then what we're doing then is that we are teaching our young boys to excommunicate themselves from their emotional self. It's like they're amputating access to their emotional self.
Yeah.
And that's, not only is that sad, But then that creates men who are, like you say, men who don't even know how to access the full range of their emotions. It's either joy and ecstasy or anger and aggression.
Yeah.
They flip between the two. And that's not to say that they don't have emotions. They've just been taught that to survive, they can't show their vulnerability. And I think that needs to change. I really do. And I also think that that's part of the reason there's so much domestic violence.
Mm-hmm.
98% of the violence in the world is from males.
Yeah.
We need to fix that. Anyway, so yeah, I'm pretty passionate about that.
Yes, definitely. And it's kind of like pandemic, like silent pandemic that's going on in humanity. And everybody, men, women, we need to find a way to kind of express our emotion in a healthier way, and not waiting until the point where it's like too late and now something can go wrong, so we need to kind of change our attitude and find tools that's available to kind of deal with those emotions, to first know what that is, how to deal with it, and how to heal yourself from whatever happened to you in the past. Again, like there are some professionals, tools available. It's up to you if you are ready and willing to kind of look into your inner self and let go some part of you that became already your identity in a way.
Yeah, that's right. And to any of your listeners who are interested in this, it doesn't need to be scary. It doesn't need to be massively cathartic. I mean, it can be, but it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be some terrifying breakdown or building up. It can be just simple daily strategies like the ones that I share in the book that you can implement into your life that improve your ability to communicate with yourself and with those around you. It improves the quality of your relationships. It improves your effectiveness in whatever you care about. It improves the quality of your life. And you become a better version of yourself. And I'm passionate also about things being implementable and practical. I care about taking, these lofty philosophical concepts that seem too big and too spiritual or too woo-woo.
Yeah.
And then translating them down into very simple 1% strategies and ways that you can form daily habits that over the long term have a massive, beautiful impact on your life.
Yeah, I agree. There are certain positive habits that everybody could instill in their daily life. But again, you have to be consistent and knowing that it will bring a long-term result in the end. So if you are willing to commit to improve on integrating those type of habits, then you will see the compound effect of them. But you have to be ready for a long haul.
Yeah, that's right. And I think to help with that, rather than thinking about some end result that you want to get to bring it back and think about, who do I choose to be today? What sort of a person do I hope to be today? Do I hope to be someone who does care about my own mental and physical well-being enough that I'll do my little practices in the morning, whether that's a meditation or some affirmations or a healthy or some exercise? Do I care enough today to be that person? Do I care enough about the people around me that today I want to do my best to show up as the best version of me for them? Do I care enough about my partner that I'm going to have the courage to go to her or him with love and try some new strategies around communication, especially when times are tough, especially when we're disagreeing on something? Do I love this person enough to try some other ways of communicating with them so that we can find harmony again, today? So I think because humans are very good at getting overwhelmed. It's like, oh my God, I've got to become this better person and I've got to do all these things and it's going to take me 10 years. And, then we do overwhelm. So then we procrastinate and we go, oh, I'm just not going to do it. I'm just going to stay the way I am, So rather than thinking too big, just think about, who do I want to be today?
That's a great advice. And with those simple steps and also commitment to yourself and how can I show up today the best that I can for myself and, like you said, for others who rely on you, who care about you, and do you care about them as well? So that's something we have to always be mindful of. And just with steps, we can just integrate those practices in our daily life and see how they improve our lives in the, little by little. So we'll see the results pretty much like faster, and we don't need to wait like a long time. We're gonna see them as soon as we start doing them.
Yeah.
So I don't want people to be overwhelmed. They just need to know that they can and start doing those little steps along the way.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so true. It's so true because, another truth is that we are all going to die and we don't know when, and this shouldn't be a conversation that we avoid because it's 100% going to happen. We should be able to talk about death, and that should then not be a morbid thing of a dark conversation. It can inform the way we live. If we have the courage to talk about death, then it can enlighten the way we live today. And if we all understand that we don't know when we're going to die, then I don't want to waste today. I certainly don't want to waste time arguing or fighting with people over something that's not important. And if there's a moment where I'm triggered by you and I'm upset, I want to keep improving my ability to process that, to acknowledge that, respect it, but to process it quickly so that you and I can come back to a place of love again. I don't want to waste time in the fear of, or the hatred or the dislike area. Why? It's not pleasant. Nobody enjoys that, right? Some of us get stuck in it and we identify with those negative states of being, but nobody actually enjoys it. Surely we would enjoy more to be in a state of quote unquote love, abundance, joy, gratitude, happiness, all of these emotions. And this state of being is something we can cultivate the ability to spend more time there. And if this was my last day in my life, I want most of my day to be there,
Right.
And there are very simple strategies and practices that we can engage every day that increase the amount of time we spend in this place of love, abundance, joy, gratitude, and decrease the amount of time we're stuck in suffering, fear, hatred, anger, disappointment, etc. So look, I practice that myself daily, and I share the strategies that I come across and the things that I've created that help do that. And that's what I do in my work and my books and stuff.
Yeah, and I know that a lot of people would find it beneficial for them to bring ourselves to that state, like you mentioned, state of joy, happiness, gratitude. And that's where everybody wants to be. Like you said, what if tomorrow is your last day? And you would never know. So might as well focus all of your energy in creating that opportunities for yourself where you feel in that higher vibrational type of energy, mental state. So again, like it all comes back to us, and we are in charge. We have power to bring ourselves to that place. But it will take, of course, effort and time from your side, and you have to be willing and committed to do it every day. So again, like we all can be there, and it's just a matter of us being mindful.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that we had a time to talk with you today, and thank you for coming on my show and sharing all those wonderful ideas with listeners. And we're gonna put a description in the episode so people can check your book and your website, all your work that you do. Thank you so much, and I hope you enjoy your day.
Yeah, thank you so much, Anna.
Thank you. Bye. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and if you did, hit the subscribe button and share it with others. Stay tuned.